Last year was Penn State's best season yet under James Franklin. The Nittany Lions went 13-3, made the Big Ten championship game, and finally broke through to the college football playoff, even though they needed it to get expanded to 12 teams just to do that. But in the college football playoff, they won their first few games and were a heartbreaking interception away from playing for a national title, but ultimately fell by 3 points to Notre Dame in the playoff semifinals. But here's the thing. Despite the heartbreaking ending, this Penn State team is loaded in 2025. It seems that this program is going all in for a national title in 2025. The million-dollar question is whether or not they can actually do it. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to talk some Penn State football as we get closer and closer to the start of the college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks and our weekly newsletters and tons of exclusive content to help you get through this offseason. And we want you to take advantage of what we are bringing you on our website, here on our channel. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation so you can be a part of this college football discussion with us year round. So, I said Penn State feels like they're going all in. It kind of gives me vibes and gives me, feelings of what Ohio State did last year. The Buckeyes went all in. They went out and got their guys to the transfer portal. They retained some guys with that NIL money. They got the great coaching staff together. They had everything ready to go all in for a national championship. And it nearly didn't happen. Losing 2 regular season games, snuck into the playoff as the 8th seed, and then still found a way to win it all. It feels like Penn State's doing the same thing in a way. They didn't really go out and pay all these guys like Ohio State did to the transfer portal, but they were able to retain a lot of guys. They had some big additions in the coaching staff, which we'll talk about shortly. But it feels like this is the year. If Penn State wants to claim that national title, or at least get to the national championship game, this feels like the year they have to do it. You take a look at the offense, and you take a look at the roster as a whole. This offense is in great shape. Last year, the offense took a major boost under first-year coordinator Andy Kotelnicki. That was why they brought them in. The offense seemed stagnant. It really wasn't that explosive. He came in and changed it, made it more dynamic. And I think it's going to be even better in his second year with the program, especially with the veteran quarterback in Drew Aller, who threw for over 3,300 yards and 24 touchdowns last year, while also rushing for over 300 yards. And their ability to retain not one, but both of their top running backs, and Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, who both rushed for over 1,000 yards and combined for 20 rushing touchdowns. We all kind of thought they were going to go pro. I think a lot of us did. And they kept both of them in Happy Valley. That is massive for Penn State. Veteran quarterback, 2 great running backs, 4 returning starters on the offensive line. This is a team built to win. This is a team built to have an explosive offense. Now, the question is whether or not Penn State has the weapons to help Drew Aller in the passing game. We expect them to have a dominant run game. We expect them to bully people up front at the line of scrimmage. But losing their star tight end, Tyler Warren, who was the top receiver last year, top pass catcher with over 1,200 reception yards, that's a huge blow to this offense. That means somebody's got to step up. And a handful of Penn State's top wide receivers transferred out of the program. So James Franklin had to go out and add some guys to the transfer portal. A guy like Kyron Hudson from USC, and a guy like Devontae Ross from Troy, who had over 1,000 yards with the Trojans last year. That gives them a bit of a boost at the wide receiver position, but they're going to need more. They're going to need more guys to step up and provide weapons for Aller in the passing game. That security blanket in Tyler Warren, who was as sure-handed as anybody on the team, he's gone. They don't have that guy anymore. Who's it going to be to step up at the wide receiver position? Who's it going to be that explosive wide receiver for Penn State? If they can't find a guy like that, the offense is going to struggle because you cannot be one-dimensional and go on to win a national title. It's just not going to happen. So that's the biggest question mark on the offensive side of the ball for Penn State. Finding sure-handed, explosive, dynamic pass catchers. The defense. Penn State, traditionally under James Franklin, has had a pretty solid defense. It's a pretty big reason why he is 101-42 overall with the Nittany Lions, with 3 straight double-digit win seasons, entering year 12, by the way, with Penn State. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, does it? But the defense, they shocked the nation by adding Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator, stealing him from Ohio State, making him the highest-paid defensive coordinator in college football. He's going to make an immediate impact. He's arguably the best defensive mind in the game right now. He's done it everywhere he's been and was phenomenal during his time in Columbus with the Buckeyes. Now, staying within the conference comes to Penn State trying to help them capture a national title. Losing a guy like Abdul Carter is massive. A guy that's going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick in next month's draft. It's very unfortunate. Or later this month, I should add. Later this month's draft. That's a huge loss. But you've got a guy like Danny Dennis Sutton. You've got guys like Zane Durant. Those guys returning on the defensive line. That's huge for Penn State. You've got guys like Dom DeLuca anchoring the linebacking core. Zakee Wheatley returning at safety, maybe going to be the anchor of the secondary for the Nittany Lions this year. So while I do lose a handful of talent across the board, none bigger than Carter, Penn State still has a lot of dynamic playmakers on the defensive side of the ball that can keep them as one of the better defenses in the country this year. And they're going to be coached by the best guy to do it. So, I am interested to see the change with the coaching, with Jim Knowles coming in. I am interested to see how quickly Penn State can adapt with some of these younger guys and with some of these players that, now have to take on a bigger leadership role after the departure of a handful of key players. That's what I'm interested to see. So the 2 question marks I've got for Penn State are wide receiver / pass catchers and just how the defense looks and adjusts under Jim Knowles. Again, it's exciting, it's massive, it's a huge get, and it's a move that showed me Penn State is ready to win now. They've been so good for so long. 3 straight double-digit win seasons. We're so close to making the national championship last year. They believe the window is there, but the window's getting smaller. They've got to deliver, and it feels like they got to do it this year. The schedule for them could allow for that to happen, or at least could allow for them to get a very good seed in the playoff. This is a playoff team. If Penn State doesn't make the playoffs, obviously it's a major disappointment. But with it being 12-team playoff, I just don't see them missing out. The schedule works out very well for them in 2025. They only have 1 game away from home between August 30th and October 11th. So for almost half the season, they play away from home once in the first half, right? Very favorable schedule across the board. You look at the biggest games for them, the toughest games for them. It's only a few. They get to host Oregon. Oregon has to come to Happy Valley. That's huge. Big Ten championship rematch. Penn State held their own against the Ducks, and Oregon got destroyed in the first round of the playoffs for them. Got the first round bye. Now loses a lot of talent from last year's squad. None bigger than their quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Oregon comes to Happy Valley. Huge for them. They host Indiana, who, yes, was a playoff team last year, but I do not think will be one this year. I think the Hoosiers will take a bit of a step back. And they host Nebraska, who typically, Matt Rule teams, have a breakthrough year in year 3. Nebraska finally got to the bowl game last year. Should be a bit of a challenge, but Penn State you would think would take care of it at home. But still a game you can afford to overlook. The biggest of those 3, Oregon, they're coming to Penn State. The road slate, they have to go to Iowa. Kinnick, never easy, as we know, but can the offense hang with Penn State? Can they get anything going against this Penn State defense? That's the question. And then, of course, they have to go to Ohio State, the Jim Knowles reunion game, and the game that has given Penn State so much trouble for so many years. Just has not been able to get over the hump against the Buckeyes. The 2 games that are the toughest, obviously, are Oregon and Ohio State. One of those is at home. I think Penn State will be favored in 10, at least 10 of their 12 games this year. As long as they don't slip up against a team they shouldn't lose to, whether that be a team like Indiana or Nebraska, maybe even Iowa or anybody else in the Big Ten they definitely shouldn't lose to. As long as they don't slip up against one of those teams and they somehow find a way to split the Oregon and Ohio State games, just win one of them, they're in good shape. This 12-team playoff, as we know, is allowing teams to get in with 2 losses, maybe even 3 in some cases. But you don't want to risk that. Maybe you could say they could lose to Oregon and Ohio State. Those aren't bad losses by any means. And as long as they run the table the rest of the way, they probably do get into the playoff as a lower seed. Maybe an 8-9 seed, probably somewhere around there. Ohio State was an 8-9 team last year. They went all the way. It's not impossible. But if I'm Penn State, I'm thinking you take care of business against the teams you should beat. You split the 2 biggest games of the year. One of them is at your house. You do that. You might be in the Big Ten championship. You win that, you're definitely a lock. You lose that, you're still in. And then after that, you see what happens. This is the year. The talent is there. The coaching absolutely is there. The schedule is there. It all lines up for a massive run for Penn State in 2025. But can they deliver? We have seen James Franklin teams fall short many, many times. We've seen them choke in the biggest moments many, many times. They cannot afford to do that this year. I love this Nittany Lions team, but I'll be very interested to see if they do live up to the preseason expectations. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to those expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, and tons of exclusive content to help you get through this offseason. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation and dive into this college football discussion with us year-round. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.